Live from Denver, Colorado, this is Before the Chop, the morning show for barbers. Here's your host, David Ford.
Good morning, barbers. Welcome to Before the Chop. This is episode 1. You're here for the first one, and that puts you in a very specific group of people. People who care about advancing their career and treating barbering like a business, not just a hustle. Here's what this show is. Every Monday morning, we gather live right here on YouTube. We get into the parts of the barbering business that barber school left out. The business, the mindset, the client stuff, the money, the physical stuff. The parts that most barbers figure out on their own over many, many years because nobody ever sat down and explained any of it. And the culture. The barbershop is one of the few places left where people actually slow down and talk to each other. Barbers know things about their clients that nobody else does. There's a community in this industry. Barbers who push each other, build each other up, show up for each other. That side of it belongs in this conversation, and we're going to talk about it here. This show exists because I had to learn most of this the hard way, and I'm going to put that to work for you. My name's David Ford. I cut hair at Barber Theory in Denver, Colorado. I've been behind the chair long enough to have made most of the mistakes we're going to cover on this show. Some of them more than once. I don't have everything figured out. I'm still working through plenty of it, but I've been in the industry long enough to know what nobody tells you, and that's where this comes from. This show is for barbers, newly licensed, still building a book, 5 years in and wondering why the math doesn't add up, 10 years in and thinking about opening a shop. It doesn't matter where you are. We cover ground that's useful at every stage because most of what this industry doesn't explain, it doesn't explain at any stage. It just costs you differently depending on how long you've been carrying it. Now, here's something I want to be clear about from episode 1. This is not a broadcast where I talk at you for 40 minutes and you watch. This is interactive. This is not a podcast. This is a community we're building together. If you're here live right now, drop something in the chat. I'm reading it between segments. That's not just a thing I say. That's what I'm actually doing. And if you have a question, a story, a topic you want us to get into, something that happened with a client this week that you can't stop thinking about, mail@beforethechop.com. We read everyone. And if you watch the standalone videos on this channel, leave a comment. We read those too, all of them. The show gets better because of what comes back from the people watching it. That's just how it works. All right, every episode has a structure. The Mindset Minute opens, and it's one idea to carry into the shop. If you only have 5 minutes, the Mindset Minute is tailor-made for you. Main segment that goes deep on one topic, and then a craft corner with one specific thing to try out this week. We rotate in industry news, hot takes, barber spotlights, and a ton more depending on the week. We're live every Monday, 11:30 Mountain, 1:30 Eastern. After the live, the main segment and the Mindset Minute go up as separate videos on the channel the same day. If you can't make the live, you can still catch everything. And now, live from the Rocky Mountain Studios here in Denver, Colorado, this is Before the Chop. All right, nobody hands you the full picture. You start cutting, and then you find out. You have had a day where you're fully booked, the cuts went well, and your clients tipped on the way out. And you drive home, and something doesn't add up. It's not the haircuts. It's something else. Something you can't quite name. Today, we name it. By the end of this episode, you'll have 5 things that catch almost every barber off guard, and a clear picture of what this job actually asks of you. All right, here's the plan. Mindset Minute is first, then the 5 things, Craft Corner after that with one habit to use every single week, industry news, and a hot take to close. Today, the gap between what the craft asks of you and the job actually asks of you. The number most barbers never run until it costs them, and the one client behavior that will mess with your head until you understand why it happens. All right. Think back to your first solo client. The chair's set up perfectly the way you practiced it. Your station is arranged perfectly. The chair is meticulously wiped down, the mirror's completely streak-free. They sit down, And somewhere between draping the cape and picking up the clippers, you feel it. A quiet kind of panic that has nothing to do with whether you can do the haircut. Underprepared is not the same as unqualified. Most barbers confuse these two things, and it costs them. The panic is real. The gap is real. Barber school taught you the craft and left out almost everything else. That's not a failure of the school. The craft is what the school can teach. The rest, how to read a client, how to build a book, how to know if you're actually making money, you learn by being in it. The people that feel no gap are the people who don't understand what they signed up for. I still feel versions of that gap. It hits differently now, but the feeling of being in over your head on something, that doesn't go away. You just get better at staying in motion while it's happening. In a hurry, there's your Mindset Minute. Take it with you. For those of you with a few more minutes, stick around. We're going to dig in. All right. Here's the thing. Barber school teaches you how to cut hair. It does not teach you how to be a barber. Those are two different jobs. And on your first day, you just got hired for all of them. There's a barber I knew, first year in, technically solid, got hired at a decent shop. 3 months in, she's doing fine on her haircuts, but something is off. She can't figure out why certain clients come back and certain ones don't. She's not losing them to bad haircuts. She's losing them to something that she can't see yet. What she was missing isn't something barber school teaches. It's these 5 things. Number 1, you are not selling haircuts. You're selling a feeling. The cut is the proof. It's how you back up the feeling. But the reason a client comes back and the reason they don't is only sometimes about the technical execution. Think about the best client relationship you've seen or been a part of. That barber isn't necessarily the most technically gifted person in the shop. They're the person that the client trusts. They remember the haircut. They ask about the kid's soccer game. They manage the energy of the interaction. The client leaves feeling seen, not just cut. The barbers that figure that out are years ahead of the ones who keep chasing the perfect fade and wondering why the book isn't growing. Number 2, busy and profitable are not the same thing, and the difference will shock you. Full book, back-to-back, feet hurting, clients tipping, Friday afternoon, you count what's left, and the number doesn't make sense. This is what I call the break-even problem. Most barbers don't know their number. They know their ticket price. They do not know what it is that it actually costs to be in the chair every month. Booth rent, product, supplies, taxes set aside, and whatever they're bringing in clears with anything real left over. And to be completely honest with you, I didn't know my break-even number until the end of my 3rd year. I thought I was making real money, but I was just busy. And I'm here to tell you, those are not the same thing. Now, the good news is the fix is simple. Know the number. It's your total monthly costs divided by your average ticket. That equals the cuts you need before you're actually making anything. And I want you to run that math this week. Number 3, clients will stop coming to you and they will not tell you why. No complaint, no confrontation, no review, just poof, gone. You'll do a solid cut 1 week, they'll rebook, and then they don't show, and you'll never know why. And this is the hardest thing to accept because your instinct as a human is to assume that it was something that you did wrong. And to be fair, sometimes it is. Most of the time, it isn't. Life moves. Clients move. Someone opened up closer to their house. They can't afford it this month. They went back to whoever they were seeing before. There's a multitude of reasons. The barbers who take every client departure personally burn out. The barbers who understand that retention is a system, not a personal verdict, build books that compound. Every client who leaves is information. The question is whether you are using it to build something better or if you're just feeling bad about it. Drop it in the comments for me. Have you lost a client without knowing why? And what did you tell yourself? Number 4, the emotional weight of the chair is real and nobody prepares you for it. This is the hardest one for me. This one is something that in my 6th year of barbering can still be a struggle for me because people tell their barber things that they don't tell anyone else. You'll hear about the divorce, the diagnosis, the kid who's struggling. You'll hold on to it because there's no other option. They are physically there in your chair, the cape is on, and the relationship is real. And that weight accumulates. Most barbers figure this out around month 6 when they realize that they drive home lighter on days that they didn't have any heavy conversations, and heavier on days that they did. It doesn't mean that you stop being present. It means that you build a practice of putting it down. What that looks like is different for everyone, but knowing it's happening is step 1. Number 5, no one is coming to explain the business side. That part is on you. How to file a 1099. What booth rent actually covers. What you can and can't deduct. How to protect your clientele if you change shops. None of that gets covered in school because none of it is the school's job. Their job is to prepare you to pass the state board test, but all of the rest of this is yours to carry. The barbers who treat the business side as something that needs to be actively learned and not just waited for are in a fundamentally different position. The craft gets you in the chair. The business side keeps you there. Miriam in the chat said, losing clients still feels a bit like a breakup. Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. There is a human aspect to us that will always feel that way because there is a relational side of this industry, and that's what I'm talking about. There is no separating the relational from the business aspect of this industry, and that can make it really difficult. It can make it a very emotional burden to shoulder. And so creating that practice to be able to separate those two things, while I don't think will ever be fully possible, is a step in the right direction. The barber I mentioned at the start of the segment, the one who couldn't figure out why certain clients weren't coming back, it turned out it was actually number 1. She was delivering technically clean haircuts and then going quiet. Like, clients were leaving without any real sense of connection. So she fixed one thing. She started asking one genuine question at the end of every haircut. Nothing was scripted. She just got curious about her clients. And her client retention turned around immediately. When she was telling me about it, she said that she thought the problem was her fades, but it actually was never the fades. Most of what goes wrong in this career isn't the cutting. It's everything that barber school had no way to teach you. All right, let's pop over to the craft corner. Picture this. It's the end of your work week. You've got your clippers put away. Your station is cleared. The chair's empty. The shop's quiet. Most barbers lock the door on the way out, and they don't think about the week again until Monday morning. And here's one habit for that gap. I call it the Friday 5. You're going to take 10 minutes and ask yourself these 5 questions. Try it at the end of every work week. First question, how many new faces came in this week? Not regulars, new people. If the answer is 0 week after week, that tells you something about visibility. Number 2, how many times did I actually ask for the rebook? Not how many clients rebooked. How many times did you ask? If you're not asking, you're leaving that decision entirely to the client. 3, do I know what I made after expenses this week? Not total tickets, your net. If you don't know the break-even math, then your business is still running on autopilot. Number 4, what did I learn about a client that I should remember? Try one thing with one client. Write it down, put it in your notes in your phone, put it in your notes in your booking app. Memory alone isn't a system, and it won't keep you going, especially if you are new to a shop or you're just starting out and you have a lot of new clients. Number 5, what's one thing I'd do differently? One thing, not 5, just one. See, I think it's really important to be your own coach. Don't be the cop, be the coach. So give yourself one thing. Don't get too hard on yourself. 10 minutes, 52 times a year. That's 52 chances to course correct before these small problems become expensive ones. Give it a try on Friday. Tell me in the comments what you find. All right, real quick. 3 ways to be a part of this show every week. The live chat right here, right now, Monday mornings at 11:30 Mountain. Drop a question, a reaction, anything in the chat. I'm reading it in between segments. That's not just a polite thing I say. I'm actually reading it. Email, mail@beforethechop.com. That's for the longer stuff. A question you want me to dig into on air. A story from behind your chair. A topic you want us to cover. I read every single one. And comments on the videos. Main segment and Mindset Minute go up on the channel the same day. Drop something on any video. We read those too. That's how you're part of this show, and there will be more ways soon. We want to hear from you. All right, I'm going to put on my reporter hat. Let's talk about a few things from around the industry this week. One of my favorite barbers, Josh O.P., launched a full collaboration line with Matsui this weekend at the CT Barber Expo at Mohegan Sun. Here's what dropped. 3 different lines of OP by Matsui clippers and trimmers, shavers, and a blow dryer that his audience has been asking for a while. One of the clipper models is the Stealth Clipper. And for context, Matsui as a brand has been known primarily for scissors. They're a UK-based company, and they're well respected in the craft. This collaboration moves them into the clipper market, and the way they did it, going through a barber with a specific philosophy, rather than just putting a name on a box, says something. Now, I could read you the product specs, but the product here isn't the interesting part. Here's what Josh said when he announced the line. Something for everyone has always been my mission. I want to take away this idea of creating robots and only working as if everyone agrees with me. Some clippers crunch, some are quiet, some are heavy, some are light. Whichever your style, whatever your budget, we've got something for you across the board. Think about what he's actually saying. He's calling out something real. That a huge part of barber culture is built on pressure. Pressure to use a specific tool, cut a specific way, operate inside someone else's approved method. And his entire product line is a direct response to that. Not one flagship model that everyone should use. Multiple lines, different feels, different weights, different price points. Because there is no one right tool. There is the right tool for your hands, your style, and your clients. I really appreciate it because that's a philosophy showing up in a product. And for working barbers, it connects to something bigger. The most distinctive barbers, the ones clients cross the city for, aren't the ones who figured out the one correct way to cut. They're the ones who have explored haircutting at length. They've tried new things, and they've figured out haircutting identity. Their tools are a part of that haircutting identity. This line is built on that premise. The CT Barber Expo itself wraps up today, June 6th through the 8th at Mohegan Sun. It was the 15th anniversary. 43 states represented, 36 countries, and the Barber Grammys were Saturday night. All right. As a native Nebraskan, this next story really made me do a double take. An Omaha bar, a speakeasy concept, no actual barbering happening, nobody cutting hair, got ordered by the Nebraska State Barber Board to remove the word barber from their name and every piece of their signage. Not because they were cutting hair without a license. They weren't cutting hair at all. It's a bar. The board's position was that using the word barber commercially, even on a cocktail lounge, required a licensed barber to own or operate the business. In the board's view, that was enough. So the bar renamed itself. Well, what did it rename itself, you might ask? Censored Shop. That's not a protest stunt. That is actually the legal name of the business now. The Institute for Justice filed a First Amendment challenge in May. If you don't know the IJ, they're a nonprofit law firm. They specialize in government overreach cases. These are the same people who fought occupational licensing requirements that made people complete 1,500 hours of cosmetology school before they were legally allowed to braid hair. They're good at this, and they win. Now, the argument isn't that barbershop licensing is bad or that boards shouldn't exist. It's actually much simpler. You cannot claim ownership of a common English word. Barber is in the dictionary. It has been for centuries. A government agency cannot fence it off and charge admission. And here's the bigger picture. This is the part that I want every barber to actually think about. Licensing boards have real power. Most of the time they use that power exactly the way they're supposed to. They protect consumers, they maintain standards, they keep unqualified people from picking up clippers and coming in off the street calling themselves barbers. That matters. I'm with that, and I absolutely believe in that. But sometimes that power gets used to protect market position instead of the public, to keep competitors out, to control language. And every licensed barber should know where their state board stands, what positions they've taken, and how they've used their authority. This is not a Colorado studio or story right now. Our board isn't doing anything like this, but the next version of it could land anywhere. All right, let's talk about the margin squeeze a little bit. I want to spend a minute on something that isn't a headline story, but that every single working barber is feeling, and that a lot of us aren't talking directly enough about. The cost of owning a shop or being behind the chair keeps going up. Not dramatically, not all at once, just steadily. And it's been going up for a couple years now. Here's some actual numbers. A pack of Derby razors, $5 not too long ago, closer to $10 now. Cool Care aerosol, which most of us burn through every week, was under $7. Now it's $15. Neck strips have more than doubled. Clippers that were $80 to $100 in range when a lot of us were getting started, those same tools are $150 to $300 now. And booth rent in most markets, has gone up alongside all of it. Industry-wide, margins are down 12 to 15% on average over the last 2 years. And that's not just a feeling, that's a real number. That's the math. Last month, Marketplace reported specifically about how this is hitting urban barbershops, and I think that's worth talking about. Those barbershops carry a community function that goes well beyond a transaction. They're gathering places, they're culturally significant spaces, and they've historically kept prices accessible because that's part of what they're for. The margin squeeze hits those shops harder than a shop that's already charging $60 a cut and can absorb it. That's a real tension, and I think that's worth mentioning. Look, the barbers who are really getting through this without it eating them alive are the ones that know their numbers. And I keep coming back to this, but they're break even. The actual weekly cost to be in that chair, in that space. If you don't have that number, you're flying blind during a period when the margins are tight enough that flying blind is dangerous. So stop guessing. Run the numbers. All right, moving on. If this doesn't apply to you, just ignore it, but for the barbers who need to hear it, this job is not just about getting better at cutting. It's about getting clients and keeping them. Those are completely different problems from technical skill, and most barbers put most of their energy into the wrong one. If you haven't guessed, this is the hot take. All right, here's what I mean. Barber school, and honestly barber culture at large, does a very specific thing to your head. It makes you think the skill is the primary variable. Most barbers think, if I can just get the fade cleaner, if I can get the taper blurry, if I can get the blend right, the book will come. The clients will find me. The money will follow the craft. And I get it, because the craft is the fun part, and it's what we're trained for. It's what we care about, and it's what we're proud of. I'm not standing here telling you not to care about the craft. I care about it deeply. But here's the thing nobody tells you. Most clients are not qualified to evaluate your technical work. They don't know the difference between a perfect taper and a good one. Guess what they do know? They know how they feel when they walk out of that chair. They know if you remembered their name. They know if you asked about their kid's game last weekend. They know if you were present with them in the room, or if you seemed like you were already thinking about the next haircut. The clients who rebook, the clients who refer their friends, the clients who stick with you through a price increase, they're not doing that because your blends are 3% cleaner than the barber down the street. They're doing it because of something that happens between you and them that they can't quite explain, but can absolutely feel. That is a relationship skill. It's learned differently than a technical skill, and it starts working in your favor a lot faster than most barbers expect if you're actually working on it. I've watched barbers who I would put up against anyone, technically, genuinely gifted people, real craftsmen, struggle to build a book. And I've watched barbers who are solid, consistent, competent, not flashy, not winning competitions, build packed schedules because their clients love coming to see them. Not just their haircuts, them. The barber who spends their time chasing technical perfection and the barber who spends their time building client trust will find themselves in very different positions. So you're either treating this as a technical development season or as a relationship building season. Ideally, it's both. But if you only have the capacity to focus on one, if you have to choose where your energy goes, put it into the clients. Make them feel something. Remember things. Be present. The craft will keep developing. The book won't build itself while you wait for your technique to be good enough. Tell me where you land on this. I want to hear it in the comments. 5 things. None of them were on the state board exam, but all of them matter. The one to carry out of here today. The gap between what school taught you and what the job actually asks. That gap is not a problem to solve. It's a space to grow into. The barbers who treat it that way are the ones still standing 10 years in. If this episode helped, share it with one barber who needed to hear this today. Questions, stories, topic requests, disagreements, mail it beforethechop.com or leave a comment on the video. We read everything. We're live here every Monday morning, 11:30 Mountain, 1:30 Eastern. Come hang. And if you miss the live, the main segment and the Mindset Minute go up as standalone videos on the channel the same day. Subscribe so you don't miss any of it. Next week, there are 9 jobs inside of this one. Most barbers are carrying all of them and have never stopped to name a single one. We're going to name all 9 of them. I'm David Ford. This is Before the Chop. Get behind the chair, chop some hair, and go crush it.